Imagine feeling perpetually stuck, unable to break past a certain financial threshold or fully enjoying pleasure and sex. Perhaps you constantly feel like you're just on the brink of orgasm, only for it to just slip away right at the moment that you think it's going to happen. Or you just experience a glass ceiling on your pleasure in your life in general. And in your career, you might find yourself never reaching that next level of income or business success. These frustrations are signals that your nervous system and your attachment style are holding you back. Your nervous system is like a tricky little operator, designed to keep you safe, but often at the cost of what you most desire. Whether it's money slipping through your fingers as unexpected expenses arise, or feeling emotionally distant and unable to connect deeply with your partner. These are signs of underlying attachment issues. And if you have avoidant attachment style, you might avoid looking at your finances altogether, while an anxiously attached person might struggle to keep money or fear abandonment in relationships. This roller coaster of a fearful attachment style, well, it brings its own set of chaotic challenges. So the good news is you can train your nervous system to create a secure attachment with money, pleasure, and relationships by developing a felt sense of safety and security in your body. And this is what this episode is all about. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So be sure to tune in to the entire episode. And if you feel called and inspired, definitely book the Confidence Boost call at the link in the show notes with me if you really want to experience more confidence in the bedroom. See you soon. Bye. Welcome to the Multi-Orgasmic Millionaire Podcast, where sexual liberation meets financial empowerment. Join me, Tilly Storm, top 20 sex coach worldwide, on my own journey to becoming a multi-orgasmic millionaire through the mystical art of sex magic, financial savvy, and guidance from my very own mystical Yoni Oracle. I'm going to reveal how I'm turning orgasms into cold, hard cash. Get ready to dive deep and discover the secrets to living a life of abundance on your own multi-orgasmic terms. All right, welcome back to the show. It's Tilly Storm here, and today we're talking about attachment styles. This is a topic I've actually never even brought up on this podcast. If you have ever heard or read of the book Attached, the New Science of Adult Attachment and How It Can Help You Find and Keep Love, then this book is kind of the basis for what I'm sharing with you today. But as it pertains to the nervous system, a lot of what I'm going to be sharing with you comes from the Heal Your Nervous System book, the 5-Stage Plan to Reverse Nervous System Dysregulation book by Dr. Linnea Passalar. You can find both of these books in the show notes. There are linked to those, so you know what I'm talking about here. What we're going to discuss today is how your attachment style actually affects your ability to receive money and pleasure. Now, your nervous system is the basis for what your unconscious mind believes that it can have or not have. So your experience of life is dictated by what your nervous system feels like you can survive. And the nervous system is a tricky little mother effer. It's usually one of the things that keeps us from what we want the most. And it's just trying to do the job of keeping you safe, making sure that you get loved, and making sure that you feel like you belong when you're little. But when we grow up and we're adults, we often run into issues with our nervous system's capacity, and that might look like this. Tilly, I don't experience pleasure in sex. I can't have an orgasm. Or I feel like I almost get there and then it kind of dies off. Or I've reached a glass ceiling to my pleasure and, it's okay, but I feel like there's just got to be so much more pleasure to experience. Or if it's around money, I've never broke past a certain amount of money per year in my business or in my career. Or I feel like every time I get money, then something comes up that was completely unexpected, and then I had to pay for it, and then all of the money was gone. This is a sign that your nervous system is keeping you from what you want and your attachment style around your relationships. And in terms of your money, your relationship with money, has so much to do with your nervous system's capacity. So if we look at the different attachment styles, okay, there are 4. The first one is the securely attached person. The second one is the avoidant attached person. The third is anxious attached. And the fourth is fearful attached. If we look at a securely attached person, this is a person who basically handles stress really well. They're comfortable expressing their emotions. They can rely on other people for support, while also they feel confident and totally fine to spend time alone. They have a deep sense of being safe and okay, even in the midst of big life events that might be really challenging, like a breakup, heartbreak, death, any other big life difficulties. Securely attached people grew up with parents who, at least most of the time, really were there for them emotionally and physically. So securely attached people in relationships tend to relate really well with their partner because they had a really great foundation for how to show up in romantic relationships. And when it comes to money, securely attached people with their relationship with money probably don't have issues with money. In times when money is aplenty, they have no problem investing the money, saving the money. And when money might be more scarce, they don't freak out. They're not afraid of losing everything. They don't go in a doom spiral around fearing that they're going to lose everything. Securely attached people, when it comes to their relationship with money, are going to feel confident in their ability to overcome whatever challenges might present themselves. It doesn't mean that they're going to be super abundant financially all of the time, but it just means that when hard financial times come around, they're going to be able to bounce back and be more resilient around the issues that they might face with their financial health. So the second type of attachment style here is the avoidantly attached person. As it relates to a relationship, they keep their distance in a relationship. They push people away. They don't want to feel close to someone. They repress their emotions. They learn to reduce their need for emotional connection and closeness, and they distract themselves instead. So maybe they got left alone a lot. Maybe they were loners as children, and they kept themselves distracted riding their bikes or playing with friends from actually feeling the emotions that they were experiencing. So their nervous system basically just learns how to come back to regulation by suppressing their emotions rather than soothing their emotions and just feeling better. Now, when it comes to money, they don't look at their finances. They can't bring themselves to look at their bank account. They don't contact the person in charge of their finances. They don't have that meeting with their financial advisor because they're so afraid of looking at it that they would rather just avoid the situation altogether than to have to actually face and feel the emotions that they might feel if they looked at the numbers and saw what was really going on. So the anxiously attached person often struggles with self-esteem issues. They have low self-worth. They feel inadequate. They feel like they're never enough. In childhood, basically their nervous system just learns to increase their emotional distress in order to get attention, safety, and comfort from their parents. So with anxiously attached people, they often fear abandonment. They have a very deep fear of abandonment around their emotional partners. And if this is something that where we're talking about money, then you are that type of person where you probably receive the money. You might not have a problem receiving it, but you have a problem keeping it. And not being able to keep it is part of the abandonment issue. Okay. So the fourth one is the fearful attached. This is kind of the most challenging one to deal with because it means that in childhood, you probably didn't get many of your needs met, and it's kind of left you a disorganized mess. So with the fearful attached person, their nervous system can fluctuate between two opposite attachment strategies, either the avoidant or the anxious. So they sometimes have traits of the anxious attached person and sometimes have traits of the avoidant attached person. This inconsistency can feel really scary and painful a lot of the times and make the fearful attached person feel like they don't know who they are. In childhood, it just means that they probably didn't get their core needs met, especially of safety and protection. So they don't often feel very safe. They don't feel like they're protected. With the fearful attached person, they're going to be up and down a lot. They're going to flip-flop between having really firm boundaries to no boundaries, to having really strong emotions to no emotions. And it can be really, really confusing. So in terms of a fearful attached person's relationship with money, it's going to be a lot of the same thing. Maybe they make a lot of it and they have a lot of it in one period, and then they crash and burn everything, and then they lose everything. When you think of lottery winners, I would say this is because their nervous system isn't trained to handle that amount of money. They have a very fearful attachment with money. So if you take someone who gets all of this money, wins it, and they lose it all, which are so many lottery winners, by the way, this is why that happens, because their nervous system literally cannot hold the capacity for all of that money. Their set point is to not have it. So they're going to go spend it all and then do everything they can to get back to that nervous system set point of what they think is safe. So that's how your attachment style affects your relationships with money and your partners, obviously. Now, this leaves us with the burning question of how can we create a better relationship with our partner, with pleasure, with money, with all of that? How can we create a secure attachment style with the things that we most deeply desire? We have to train our nervous system. That's exactly what has to happen. So how in the world do you do that? Well, there is this very interesting protocol that is used to help you create a felt sense of safety around money, pleasure, relationship, whatever you're wanting to increase your capacity to receive. So the way it works is this, is you get to develop a secure attachment with the thing that you want by not only envisioning what it would look like to have had the perfect parents or caregivers at the time where you developed these habits, these behavioral patterns where your nervous system was literally being wired in your childhood. So you want to think of what your ideal tribe, your ideal parents, your ideal caregivers, the ideal people around you, what would they have taught you about money? What would they have taught you about pleasure? What would they have taught you about relationship? So this is one of the practices that I almost always have my clients do when they come to work with me, because when we put aside the old narrative of what our parents did teach us about money, pleasure, sex, orgasm, whatever, when we put that aside and we begin to develop and open up our mind's eye to think about, well, if we were raised with the ideal parents, the ideal tribe, the ideal people around us that didn't give us bullshit stories about pleasure or money or relationships, what would we have learned? How would we have turned out? Well, we would have turned out probably in a much more secure attachment style way. So once you can start to open up your mind about what your ideal parents or tribe may have taught you about these things that you want, then you're going to zoom in on the scenario. What do these people look like? What is their energy like? What kind of voice do they have? What are their values and beliefs? How do they make you feel? And most importantly, what is the felt sense in your body of getting your needs met and being taught the empowering narrative and story around what it is that you actually want? This is how you heal your nervous system and how you train it to increase your capacity for more pleasure, more money, better relationships. You have to have a felt sense. What does that mean? It means the feeling sensation. The nervous system works through the unconscious mind, the body mind, the somatic body. If you can feel a sense of safety, a sense of pride, a sense of your parents teaching you or your ideal tribe or caregivers teaching you about pleasure as something that was empowering, or about how money was amazing to have because it gave you the ability to experience freedom in your life. If you had been taught these things, how would that make you feel in your body? Picture how they would respond to you in various situations when you got your first job, when you started your business and got your first client. How would you have felt about yourself? How would you have felt about your body and your pleasure if you had been taught that it was an empowering, beautiful thing to experience pleasure and not shamed for it, or not told that it was something you should be guilty of, but something that you should celebrate, right? So if we can feel what that would have felt like in that moment years ago, then that is how you can train your system to experience that sensation of it now. That's how you timeline hop. Maybe you've heard of that word before, but timeline, leaping, hopping, whatever. It's just where you kind of collapse the time between when a wound happened, when your nervous system got messed up, to your present moment where you're wanting to heal it. So that time in between when the wound first happened and now is what we're going to collapse. So it's almost as if you go back into that moment where you're envisioning your ideal parents, your ideal tribe, teaching you these empowering narratives, these empowering things, and then feeling that as real in your body right now. That is literally imprinting a felt sense of, oh my God, that's what that feels like. Oh my God, that's what it would have felt like to have been told that my pleasure was something to have been celebrated. Oh my God, that's what it would have felt like to have made $1 million and feel really good about it and not like a dirty person who is really terrible and evil. Wow. Yes, that is how you train your nervous system. So you spend time in the felt sense reality. So you can either visualize it, you can journal about it, whatever, but you want to keep coming back to that moment where you're recreating the felt sense, the sensations of having the thing that you already want time and time and time again, to retrain your nervous system to manage the emotions that you want to be experiencing around pleasure, around money, whatever it is that you want, so that you become more securely attached around that thing and you start to drop the need to go into fear of abandonment, or you begin to drop that feeling like, I'm just going to avoid looking at my checking account today because I know it's not very much in there and I just don't want to feel it, right? So that your nervous system is at that certain set point right now, and that's blocking you from having what you want. So you've got to retrain it by being in the felt sense reality of, it's safe to have what I want. I'm loved when I have what I want. I belong when I have what I want. So my loves, this is what I support women in doing, and is creating that felt sense of safety to move through their money blocks, to move through their pleasure blocks, to move through the relationship challenges that they're experiencing so that they can have more of what they want and really create a healthy relationship with money, pleasure, sex, their body, whatever it is they're working on. If that's you, then I want to encourage you to book a confidence boost call with me. What is a confidence boost call? Well, this is for you if you really struggle with body image, if you struggle with feeling shy, embarrassed, awkward around your sexuality, if you fake orgasms, you struggle with performing sexually, if you struggle with shying away from trying new things in the bedroom, if you're just feeling in general like you don't have any confidence in the bedroom, and maybe that's spilling over into your business or your career as well, then I definitely want you to book that call, because you are absolutely selling yourself short in your business and career if you're lacking confidence. People who are confident in their career or business are simply going to make more money. They're going to ask for the raise. They're going to up their prices. They're going to charge what they're worth. People who are confident simply make more money. People talk about all the time, oh, the income gap between men and women. We have to close the income gap. The reason men make more money than you is because women don't ask for raises. That's it. Okay. So I'm just going to put that one to bed right now. Confidence equates to more money, and not from an arrogant place. True confidence isn't about arrogance. True confidence comes from within. It comes from understanding who you are, what you want, coming from your inner power, knowing that you're worth it, knowing that you deserve it. So if that's something you're struggling with, go to the link in the show notes, book the confidence boost call with me. Let's get to the bottom of this and talk about how we might be able to work through some of these nervous system and attachment style patterns that are keeping you from more of what you want. All right, loves, see you on the call, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.